poor girl finds Billionaire trapped in a cage. His face matches photo her mom hides in purse. There wasn't much to look at in their neighborhood. Just crooked fences, peeling walls, and the occasional old tree that hadn't given up yet. Lena sat on the dusty concrete steps outside their house, chewing the corner of her pencil, staring at nothing in particular. Her sketchbook sat in her lap, mostly blank except for a few lines that barely made sense. She was supposed to be drawing the mango tree across the road. Her teacher had asked everyone to draw something from real life. But real life here didn't offer much, unless you counted broken drain pipes or that rusted bicycle no one dared to steal. Lena sighed and looked up. That's when she saw it. A butterfly. But not just any butterfly. It was small, maybe the size of her palm, but its wings shimmered. Blue. Not regular blue. Something between sapphire and ocean water on a bright day. There was something strange about how it hovered. It didn't flutter around like others. It just stayed, watching her. You're not scared? Lena asked, standing up slowly. It stayed still. She took one step forward. Then another. The butterfly flew a little ahead but didn't disappear. It was waiting. That's how it felt. Like it wanted her to follow. Amy will scold me if I go too far, Lena muttered, hesitating. But the butterfly moved again, slow and steady. Something about it felt important. Like it knew something she didn't. She looked back at her house. Her mom wouldn't notice for at least 15 minutes. She was in the back room stitching clothes, her headphones in as always. Lena ran down the lane barefoot. The butterfly was already turning the corner. The walk that should have been ordinary. The streets looked different when you weren't going to school. Empty, quieter. The sun was already tilting, casting orange shadows on the walls. Lena followed without thinking. It wasn't a chase, it was a walk. Quiet, slow, like someone was guiding her somewhere they'd already been. The butterfly stopped twice, landing once on a cracked wall, and once on a fallen soda can. Both times it waited for her to catch up. She didn't know this street. These houses were bigger but older. Some had metal gates chained shut. Others looked like no one had lived in them for years. Grass grew wild between broken tiles. Then the butterfly vanished. Just like that. Bum. Lena stood still. Had she imagined it? Maybe it had flown away and she'd missed it. Then she heard it. Not a sound. A feeling. That heavy kind of silence that makes your skin pull tight. Something was here. Something off. She turned slowly and saw it. Behind a wire fence, in a narrow empty lot filled with weeds and debris, was a metal cage. A real one. Not for animals. Not for storage. This one was made for someone. A person. Lena squinted. There was someone inside. The man in the cage. She wasn't sure if she should run or scream. But she didn't do either. She stepped closer. There inside the cage was a man. Maybe in his 30s. Maybe 40s. It was hard to tell. His face was bruised, pale under the dust and dried blood. His eyes were closed, his lips cracked. He was wearing a suit, but it was torn, stained, the tie hanging loose like a rope. Lena didn't speak at first. She just stared. This wasn't a dream. She didn't feel dizzy or scared. She felt cold. The man moved. Just a twitch, like his shoulder reacting to pain. Then a sound. Low, rough. Help. It was so quiet she almost missed it. Lena stepped closer. There was a lock on the cage, rusted, with a chain coiled like a snake around the bars. Who are you?" she asked. He opened his eyes slowly. They were dull, like someone who hadn't seen daylight in days. "You're not supposed to be here," he whispered. "I was drawing, a butterfly brought me here." He didn't laugh, but something in his expression changed. A flicker of something. Hope maybe, or confusion. "You need to tell someone," he said, voice cracking. "Please, tell your parents." "My mom won't believe me." "No one will." The man reached for the bars. His hands shook, and his fingers were scraped raw. "I'm Zion. Zion Khalid," he said slowly, as if the words themselves were heavy. The name didn't mean much to Lena, but the face, something about the face made her freeze. She had seen that face before. In her mother's purse, there was a small photo hidden behind her ID card. Lena had seen it once when looking for a tissue. She had asked about it and her mother had said, "Just an old friend." But she had tucked it away so fast, so carefully, that Lena knew it wasn't just anyone. "You're him," she said, blinking. His brow furrowed. "What? You're the man in the picture. My mom keeps your photo. In her purse." Zion stared at her. For a second, he looked fully awake. "What's your mother's name?" he asked. "Raina. Raina off top." He froze. His fingers gripped the bars so tight they turned white. "Tell her I'm alive," he said, breathless. "Tell her, please. Tell her I'm alive." Lena nodded, heart thudding so loud she could barely think. "I will. I promise." She turned and ran, running home with a secret. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows that made the streets look even older. Lena didn't stop. Her legs burned, her lungs ached, but she ran until her front door was in sight. Raina opened it before Lena even knocked. "Where were you?" she shouted. "Do you know what time?" "I saw him," Lena said, gasping. "There's a man in a cage. In a field. He's hurt. He said his name is Zion Khalid." Raina went completely still. "What did you say?" "He's in a cage. He said to tell you he's alive. He said your name, Raina off top. He knows you." And Raina dropped her tea glass. It shattered, hot liquid splashing across the floor. The photo and the truth. That night, Raina sat on the floor of her room, the small photo in her hands. It had been 7 years. She never thought she'd hear that name again. Never thought anyone would connect them. She hadn't told Lena anything. Not the truth. Not even close. Zion Khalid had been the one love in her life. A story that ended without explanation. One day, he was everywhere, calls, texts, visits. Then nothing. Silence. She thought he had moved on. Now her daughter claimed he was in a cage. Alive. She picked up her phone. Her fingers shook. Then she called the only person she trusted, Dr. Wasim, a retired physician who used to treat Raina's mother. She kept her voice low. "There's someone who needs help, but it's not safe to call the police yet." Sometimes the past doesn't knock. It screams through a child's voice, forcing the truth out of the silence. A face she never forgot. Raina didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window, knees pulled up, staring out at the empty street. It was almost 3 a.m., but her heart hadn't slowed once since Lena spoke those words. "His name is Zion Khalid. He said to tell you he's alive." She could still hear Lena's voice. Still see the fear and excitement on her little face. No one had said that name to her in years. She had buried it, tucked it away with the photo, with the memories, with the pain. But now he was back, or never really left. And all this time, she thought he had walked away. The weight of 7 years. 7 years is enough time to start over. It's enough to move to a new neighborhood, raise a child, learn to work with less, and laugh when things go wrong. But 7 years is not enough to forget someone who left without saying goodbye. Zion was the only man she ever trusted. The one who looked at her like she was the only thing in the room that mattered. He didn't care that she was a nurse from a lower-income family. He didn't care that her father had passed early, or that her shoes were worn. He just saw her, and then he was gone. No call, no reason, no closure. She hated him for that. But she never threw away that photo. A quiet knock. At 8:05 a.m., someone knocked on the front door. Not loud, just 2 careful taps. Lena was still asleep. Raina opened the door, already knowing who it would be. "Dr. Wasim," she said. He nodded. "You sounded serious last night." She stepped aside, letting him in. They sat across from each other at the small dining table. She told him everything, not as a nurse, but as a woman desperate to make sense of something that shouldn't be possible. "A cage," he repeated. She nodded. He leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. "Are you sure it was him?" "I haven't seen him in 7 years," she said. "But yes, if Lena says it's him, it's him." Wasim wasn't the kind of man who panicked. That's why she called him. "I'll go check the field myself," he said. "You'll stay here?" "No. Raina. I'm coming. This isn't someone random, doctor. This is personal." The field is still there. The field looked worse in the daylight. Overgrown weeds, rusted metal scraps, old paint buckets, and broken bricks were scattered everywhere. A crumbling concrete wall leaned against a half-collapsed storage shed. Wasim parked the car behind a row of tall bushes. They walked quietly, staying low. Reina's heart thumped louder with every step. Her feet slowed when she saw the bent fence. "This is the spot," she whispered. Wasim motioned for her to stay back. He moved forward, flashlight in hand, eyes scanning every corner. Nothing. The cage was gone. Reina stepped forward, ignoring the doctor's warning. There were marks on the ground, rectangular impressions where something heavy had been, drag marks leading deeper into the lot. She knelt and picked up a torn piece of cloth. Silk. Navy blue. With a faint stripe. She had seen that tie before. Where is he now? Back in the car, they said nothing. The silence between them was thick. Reina held the torn cloth in her lap, her mind racing. If he was taken away, Wasim said finally, someone wanted him hidden. Again. Or someone saved him, she replied. He nodded slowly. Either way, you need to be careful now. If someone locked him up once, they might not be finished. I need answers, doctor. And you'll get them, but not without thinking it through. Zion wakes up again. Somewhere far from that dusty field, Zion opened his eyes. White walls. A clean bed. The smell of antiseptic. For a moment, his heart raced. Was this another trick? Then a nurse walked in, middle-aged, kind eyes, holding a tray of soup. You're safe, she said, setting it down. You've been here 2 nights. He didn't speak. He didn't trust his voice. You were found by an old man. He said he was checking on something in the field. Brought you here quietly. You're lucky. Zion tried to sit up. Pain shot through his ribs. His voice finally came, hoarse and dry. Do you know his name? Dr. Wasim, she said. He asked for privacy. Said you'd understand. Zion closed his eyes and let out a breath. So someone had helped. But where was Reina? Did she know? Lena knows something big. Back at home, Lena finally woke up. Her mother was pacing the room, holding a small slip of cloth and mumbling things that made no sense to her. Amy, she said, rubbing her eyes. Reina stopped. Is he okay? Lena asked. Did you see him? Reina knelt beside her daughter and cupped her face. I don't know, Beta. He wasn't there when we went. But someone helped him. Lena nodded slowly, as if trying to put something together. I told him I'd help, she whispered. You did, Reina said. You did more than anyone else. A familiar name on TV. That evening, while Lena watched cartoons, Reina sat in front of her old laptop. She hadn't Googled Zion Khalid in years. The last time she searched, all she saw were business conferences, expensive suits, and headlines about Pakistan's rising tech magnate. Now his name was everywhere. Billionaire CEO Zion Khalid still missing. Company silent on internal affairs. Anonymous sources claim ransom demands were made. Khalid's family denies knowledge of any conflict. Her blood ran cold. He hadn't just disappeared. He'd been taken. On purpose. And her daughter was the only one who had found him. Sometimes the people we think are lost are the ones closest to being found. We just need to listen to the child who sees clearly. The tie that shouldn't exist. Reina didn't go to work the next morning. She called the hospital and said she needed a day. They didn't argue. She rarely asked for time off. And when she did, there was usually a good reason. But she didn't give one. She couldn't. Not when her entire past had just walked back into her life in the most unexpected way. Her hands still trembled as she laid the torn tie on the table. She smoothed it out, the stripe running diagonal through the navy blue. Faded but still clean. She remembered this tie. He wore it the last day she saw him. That day had stayed with her. The day he left without goodbye. 7 years ago, Zion had called her in a rush. I need to travel, business emergency. Maybe just a few days. She had nodded, understanding. It wasn't new. He was always working, always building something. Startups, investors, meetings that ran into midnight. She had gotten used to it. But that morning, something felt different. He kissed her cheek like he always did. But it felt final. Not affectionate. Not warm. Cold. She waited for the message. Waited for the call. The update. The airport selfie he always sent before flying. Nothing came. She messaged twice. 3 times. No blue ticks. And that was it. Silence. Now this tie sat on her kitchen table. Torn, dusty, and real. Zion's memory isn't whole. In a clinic miles from Raina's home, Zion sat on a narrow hospital bed, staring at his reflection in the mirror. His face was thinner, beard rough, lips cracked. His eyes had dark shadows under them. But it was him. At least, the parts he could still feel. There were blanks in his memory. Large ones. He could remember his office, his meetings, his car. Then nothing. Just a cold room. A slap. Someone shouting. Hunger. And ropes. He gripped the edge of the bed, steadying himself. Someone had taken him. On purpose. But why? And where was she? Where was Raina? The call she didn't expect. Raina's phone rang at 11:17 a.m. She was still in her pajamas, flipping through old photo albums, most of them carefully packed away and hidden under her bed. She almost didn't answer. The number was unknown. She tapped accept anyway. Raina, a man's voice asked. She froze. That voice. Soft but unsure. Cracked but familiar. Zion. Yes. Silence. No one moved. Even the ticking clock in the kitchen felt too loud. I didn't think I'd ever hear your voice again, she finally said. I didn't either, he replied. I didn't leave because I wanted to. Tears welled in her eyes. She wiped them quickly. There's a lot you don't know, he added. There's a lot you missed, she said, looking down the hallway where Lena's room stood quiet. They decide to meet. Zion told her the basics. He'd escaped, or maybe someone helped him escape. He didn't know all the details yet. He was safe now, recovering somewhere private. I need to see you, he said. I don't know if I'm ready, Raina replied honestly. I understand, but I need to say something. In person. Where? Somewhere quiet. Your choice. She paused, then gave the name of an old park on the edge of the city, a place they used to walk, back when everything felt simpler. There were no cameras there, no noise, just a bench under a neem tree, where people came to forget the world for a while. Lena knows something's coming. That afternoon, Raina got dressed with unusual care. Lena watched from the hallway, quiet, curious. Are you going somewhere? Raina turned. Yes, just for a little while. With the man in the cage? Raina blinked. How did you? You looked sad when you saw his picture. Now you look scared, but not in a bad way. Raina walked over and crouched. He was someone I knew a long time ago. Is he my father? Lena asked bluntly. Raina felt her breath catch. She had prepared herself for this question. Someday. Not now. She nodded slowly. Yes. Lena didn't cry. She didn't gasp. She just tilted her head. So, I saved my own dad. Yes, Raina whispered. You did. Lena leaned forward and hugged her mother. Then he must be important, she said simply. Under the neem tree. Zion was already there, sitting on the same bench they used to share. He wore a plain white corda. Nothing expensive. No watch. No security. Just a tired man holding a cup of tea. Raina approached slowly, unsure of what to say. He stood up when he saw her. Neither of them hugged. Neither of them reached out. They just sat down. You look the same, he said, though it wasn't true. She had changed. Stronger now. Less soft. But more real. You don't, she replied, studying his face. You look like someone who's been through hell. I have. He didn't go into details. He didn't need to. What happened? She asked after a long pause. I was taken. Drugged. Moved from place to place. I only got out because someone made a mistake, or someone helped me. I still don't know who. She looked away. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was tired, worn out from years of weight it had carried. I thought you left me, she admitted. No note. No call. I didn't. I swear to you, I never would have done that. Your mother. Zion nodded slowly. I know. So she lied. Yes. A sharp exhale. That's all she could manage. He finds out. She told me you moved on, he said. That you had someone else. That you wanted nothing to do with me. Raina laughed bitterly. That's not what she told me. He looked at her. His eyes were clear now, focused. She told me not to contact you. She said I'd ruin your life. You were pregnant? He asked quietly. She nodded. I didn't know, he whispered. I know. Zion rubbed his hands together. Is the child? A girl, she said. He closed his eyes for a second, like he was trying to breathe again. Her name is Lena. A pause. Then, I want to meet her. Some goodbyes are forced. Some hellos take 7 years to arrive. But when the truth finally speaks, even silence steps aside. The name he was never told. Zion stood outside the yellow gate later that evening, his hands buried in his pockets. From the outside, the house was simple. Faded paint. A flower pot hanging crookedly by the window. A red cycle leaned against the wall, its chain loose. He wasn't sure what he had expected. A mansion? A place full of signs that screamed he'd been missed? No. This was better. This was real. Inside that house was a little girl who had no idea he was standing here with his heart racing like he was about to walk into an exam he hadn't studied for. A short walk to something huge. Raina walked out first, holding the screen door open. She's waiting in the living room, she said softly. Zion didn't reply. He just nodded and stepped inside. The house smelled like cardamom and detergent. Lived in. Clean, but not in the showroom kind of way. There were school bags near the shoes. A crayon drawing taped to the fridge. This wasn't just Raina's house. It was Lena's world. Do I say anything special? He whispered, pausing near the kitchen. She knows who you are, Raina replied. You don't need to perform. The first meeting. Lena sat on the floor, surrounded by sketchbooks and colored pencils. She didn't jump up or run over. She just looked at him. You're the man in the cage, she said matter-of-factly. He blinked. Yes, I was. And the man in Mom's photo? Yes, he nodded again, voice softer this time. That too. She tilted her head, studying him like she was trying to compare the person to the picture she had seen. You look more tired in real life, she added. Zion laughed, short, a little awkward. I am. She picked up a blue pencil. Do you want to sit? He did. She slid a paper toward him. Draw something. He stared at the paper. I'm not very good at drawing. That's okay, she said. Try anyway. Pencil lines and unspoken words. He drew a crooked house. She giggled. Is that a house or a chicken coop? Zion grinned. Honestly, even I'm not sure. Raina watched from the hallway, not interrupting, not correcting, just watching the two people who never got the chance to know each other finally begin something. Lena leaned closer. What's your favorite color? Green, he said. Wrong, she smirked. The right answer is purple. He laughed again, more relaxed now. I'll remember that next time. You should, she replied, handing him the purple pencil. Questions that can't be avoided. Later, when Lena went to change into pajamas, Raina sat across from Zion at the kitchen table. Neither of them touched the tea. She's smart, Zion said quietly. She gets that from me. He smiled. Then the air shifted. You should have been here, she said. I know. There were days she asked if her father was a hero or a ghost. I didn't have answers. I didn't even know she existed, he replied, his voice low. She's 6 now. Almost 7. Zion's face changed. The math clicked. 7 years. He had left just before she was born. She looks like you sometimes, Raina said. He looked away. I don't even know how to be a father. You don't have to rush it. She's not asking for a new title. She just wants honesty. A name and a record. Later that night, after Zion left, Raina walked into her small bedroom and opened the wooden box she hadn't touched in years. It held a birth certificate. Lena off top. Father. Left blank. She stared at the empty space. Back then, she wasn't sure if Zion ever cared. His sudden disappearance, the silence from his mother, she had convinced herself he was never coming back. Leaving that space blank was her way of protecting Lena from future hurt. But now the truth had returned. The other side of town. On the other side of the city, in a boardroom surrounded by glass and steel, A man named Faraz Khan leaned back in his chair and lit a cigarette. "He's back," his assistant said, handing over a tabloid headline. "Kidnapped CEO Zion Khalid found alive." Faraz smirked. "That was fast." "Want me to handle it?" the assistant asked. Faraz shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see if he remembers anything." "What if he talks?" "He won't. Not until he's sure who to trust." The assistant raised an eyebrow. "And what if he finds her?" Faraz's jaw clenched. "He already has." A child doesn't care about bloodlines or labels. They care about presence. Show up, or don't. The company he built, the enemy he raised. Zion never liked returning to his office late. It used to mean trouble, an investor emergency, a market issue, or someone from legal bringing a 2 a.m. problem. But this time, it was different. This was the first time he was walking into his company after being locked in a cage for nearly 3 weeks. And everything looked the same. That's what unsettled him most. A quiet welcome. The security guard at the front desk froze when he saw Zion step through the door. "Sir, we didn't, I thought." "I'm not a ghost," Zion said quietly, adjusting the sling on his arm. "And I still have keys." The man stuttered out an apology. Zion waved him off and walked toward the elevator. The lights were dim. Only a few late-night teams remained. No one knew he was coming. He liked it that way. The empty chair. The glass-walled corner office hadn't changed. Not even the mug on his desk. Except now, someone else had been using his chair. His laptop was gone. A different name was logged into the desktop machine. Zion sat down and stared out at the city lights. The skyline looked calm, but his mind wasn't. Who took his place while he was missing? He already knew the answer. Faraz Khan. Old friend, new enemy. Faraz wasn't just a business partner. They had known each other since college, built the first app together in a dorm room, grew the business side by side. Faraz had the charm, the networking, the polished public presence. Zion had the product vision, the grit, the quiet obsession with detail. Together, they built one of the top mid-tier tech companies in the region. But not everything built on trust survives success. Zion remembered the last board meeting before he was taken. Faraz had insisted on pushing a new emergency power clause, stating that in case one partner became incapacitated or unreachable, the other could temporarily assume full control. It passed with barely any resistance. Now it made sense. The paper trail begins. Zion leaned over the desk and pulled open the bottom drawer. His old files still sat there, contracts, signed deals, and notes he'd made over the years. He wasn't looking for memories. He was looking for evidence. He flipped through everything with shaking hands. There it was. Board resolution. Effective 28 days after absence, all executive decisions revert to secondary partner, Faraz Khan. And today was day 19. He was supposed to disappear for good. The visit Reina wasn't ready for. Back in the yellow house, Reina was cooking dinner when the knock came. Not a gentle knock. This one was impatient. She wiped her hands, told Lena to stay inside, and opened the door slowly. A man stood on the steps. Mid-30s. Slim, expensive shoes, tailored shirt. He didn't smile. "Ms. Reina off top?" "Yes." "My name is Aman. I work with Mr. Faraz Khan. I need to ask you a few questions." She hesitated. "About what?" "Your recent contact with Zion Khalid." She didn't invite him in. "I haven't had any contact with him." Aman pulled a phone from his pocket and showed her a blurry screenshot. It was a long-lens photo of Zion standing outside her gate. "Then what's this?" Her stomach dropped. "I want you to stay out of this," Aman said. "For your own safety. And your daughter's." He didn't wait for a reply. Just left. Reina shut the door, locked it twice, and stood there for a long minute, heart pounding. Zion makes a call. Zion didn't go home that night. He sat in the company parking lot for hours. Finally, he called Reina. "I think I was set up," he said. "I know," she replied quietly. "Someone came here today. From your company." He straightened in his seat. "What did they say?" "That I should stay away. For Lena's sake." There was a long pause. "That's not going to happen," he said firmly. "I wasn't planning to," she replied. Lena has questions of her own. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She padded into her mother's room and stood silently in the doorway. Reina looked up from her bed. What's wrong? Why do people want to hurt him? Reina hesitated. Some people are afraid of what the truth can do, so they try to hide it. Is he going to go away again? I don't know, Beta. Lena nodded slowly. I want to see him again. You will? Even if it's not safe? Reina smiled gently. Sometimes the safest place is where your truth is. And you helped him find it. The first real move. The next morning, Zion walked into a private law firm and handed them a file. These are documents Faraz used while I was gone, he told the lead counsel. Check for fraud, abuse of power, and unauthorized changes. He placed one more thing on the table, a small black USB drive. What's this? The lawyer asked. A copy of a conversation I recorded the day before I disappeared. The lawyer leaned forward, suddenly more interested. Why didn't you report this to the police? Because this is personal, Zion said. I want this clean from the inside out. Betrayal doesn't always come from the outside. Sometimes it signs your paychecks and calls you brother. Lines that can't be crossed back. Faraz stood at the top floor of the glass tower, his hands resting on the railing, staring out at the city. He always said the higher the floor, the clearer the view. But today, all he could see was smoke on the horizon. He wasn't sure if it was real, or if his world was starting to burn down. A quiet backroom meeting. We didn't move fast enough, Aman said, pacing in the small lounge outside Faraz's office. I thought he was dead, Faraz muttered, still watching the skyline. You should have finished it when we had the chance. Faraz turned, his eyes sharper than usual. I didn't build this company to throw it away over a mistake. He's already talking to lawyers. Faraz didn't blink. Let him. We'll make sure whatever he finds looks clean. And the girl? A silence settled between them. She's just a kid, Aman said. But she saw him first. She led him back. Faraz exhaled through his nose. Then she's not just a kid. She's the reason we're dealing with this. The family grows closer. Zion didn't show up in a suit the next time he came to Reina's. He wore a plain blue t-shirt and track pants. A bandage still showed under his sleeve, but he smiled more easily now. Laughed more freely. Lena had already claimed him like a favorite cousin. She made him sit through her drawings, told him how to fry an egg properly, and made him promise to braid her hair even if he had to Google it. That night, while she was asleep on the couch, Zion turned to Reina. She's amazing. She's tough. She's us. Reina smiled at that. She asked me today if she should call me Baba. Reina looked up, her throat tight. What did you say? I said only if she wants to. She does. He nodded, more to himself than her. I never thought I'd get this back, he said. Not you. Not her. Not a second chance. You didn't lose us, she said. You were taken. The warning comes. Later that night, Reina stepped outside to water the plants. A piece of paper was folded and tucked under the gate. She unfolded it under the porch light. Stay quiet, Reina. You've got your man back. Don't make us take something else. Her heart dropped. She looked around. No one in sight. But someone had been here. She tore the paper in half and went back inside. The one call that changed everything. The next day, a call came to Zion's phone from an unknown number. He ignored it twice. On the third ring, he answered. A voice, mask distorted. You're digging where you shouldn't. Who is this? You had a clean exit. You should have taken it. You kidnapped me. You thought I'd forget. There was a pause. Then, you're risking your daughter's safety. I'm not the only one who knows who she is. Zion's blood ran cold. He hung up. Immediately dialed Wasim. I need security. Not for me, for Reina and Lena. Quiet. Discreet. But constant. Wasim didn't ask questions. I'll handle it. She deserved to know. That evening, Zion told Reina everything. No filters. No sugarcoating. He told her about the boardroom manipulation, the contract, the disappearance, Faraz's name. He told her about the call, about the threat. He didn't need to add more. Her silence said enough. "I won't let anything happen to you too," he said. "I believe you. I'm not running this time." "We're not hiding this time," she said quietly. Faraz moves first. Back at the office, Faraz met with the firm's internal finance director. He handed over a fake audit report. "We'll leak this next week," he said. "It shows Zion embezzled funds before he disappeared. We'll pretend we didn't want to reveal it while he was missing. We'll act shocked when it leaks." The finance head looked uneasy. This could fall apart fast if he proves otherwise. Faraz smiled calmly. He won't get that far. He'll be too busy protecting his family. Lena's innocent insight. The next morning, as Reina packed Lena's school lunch, the little girl sat at the table, staring at her crayon drawing. It was a family picture. A tall man with a sling, a smiling woman with earrings, and a little girl holding both their hands. She looked up and asked, "Why are there bad people who don't want us to be happy?" Reina paused, then crouched beside her. "Because some people are scared of others who stand up for what's right." Lena thought about it. "Are we the brave ones?" Reina nodded. "Yes, Beta. We are." The gloves come off. Zion arrived at the law firm with a thick folder under his arm. "We're not waiting," he told his lawyer. "We go public. Full statement. Facts. Timeline. Photos of bruises. Hospital records." "You sure?" "If they're going to play dirty, I'll play loud." Some people build walls. Others break them. And then there are those who stand right in front of them and say, "Not this time." The lie that echoed loudest. It started with a tweet. A single post from a business leak account. No photo. Just 280 characters and a PDF link. Breaking. Internal audit leaked. Billionaire Zion Khalid allegedly moved funds offshore before his disappearance. Sources suggest self-orchestrated vanishing act. Hashtag Zion Khalid, hashtag corporate scandal. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Screens that couldn't be ignored. The screen on Reina's phone lit up nonstop. Notifications buzzed. A neighbor even forwarded the news in the family WhatsApp group. She opened the link. Her hands shook. Photos of documents. Bank transfers. A heavily edited timeline. Quotes from anonymous board members. All of it painting Zion as a thief who ran away, then staged a fake return for sympathy. She turned to Lena, who was on the floor playing with her doll. Reina couldn't let her see the panic on her face. "He sees it too." Zion didn't need to be told. The moment he stepped into the office that morning, he could feel the air shift. A few employees looked up but didn't meet his eyes. Others stared at their screens, pretending they hadn't seen anything. Faraz's car was already parked downstairs. Zion made his way to his own office, or what used to be his. A legal notice was taped to the door. Pending investigation of fraud allegations, access to company documents, emails, and files is restricted. Zion tore it off without reading the rest. The meeting that wasn't a meeting. Faraz was waiting inside the boardroom. Of course he was, wearing the same smirk he used when pitching investors. The same watch he wore when they signed their first seed deal. "Rough morning?" Faraz asked casually. Zion closed the door behind him. "You staged it all." "I don't know what you mean." "The transfers, the dates, the fake documents. People will believe what's public. Doesn't matter what's true anymore. You taught me that once." Zion's eyes narrowed. "You used to be better than this." "No," Faraz said, smile gone now. "I used to be poorer than this." Public storm, private defense. Back at the law firm, Zion's legal team scrambled. "These documents are forgeries," one lawyer said. "But they're clean," another muttered. "Whoever did this knew exactly how to layer fake transfers under existing accounts." "We'll need expert testimony. Digital forensic audit. Real timestamps. It'll take weeks." Zion slammed the file shut. "I don't have weeks. I have a daughter who just started calling me Baba." Reina makes a choice. That evening, Reina opened her old laptop. She pulled up her email draft folder. Years ago, after Zion had disappeared, she'd written a message. A letter she never sent. Explaining everything. The pregnancy, the waiting, the heartbreak. She read it again. Her eyes didn't tear up this time. She saved it again, added one line to the top, and finally hit send. Not to him, but to a journalist she trusted from her hospital days. "There's something you should hear. And I'm ready to talk." Lena and the stranger. 2 days later, Lena was waiting outside school with her lunchbox and her sketch pad. Her teacher had gone back inside to help another student. The usual security guard was on break. A silver car pulled up. A man stepped out. Smiling. Clean clothes. Sunglasses. "Lena, right?" She looked up, uncertain. "Your Baba asked me to pick you up." She didn't move. The man took a step closer. "He said you weren't feeling well, so I should bring you home." Still Lena didn't speak. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out the small emergency phone her mom gave her last month. She pressed the one number saved on it. Reina answered on the first ring. "Mama, there's a man here. Says Baba sent him." "Don't go anywhere," Reina said quickly. "Stay where you are. Do not get in the car." "Okay." Lena put the phone down. The man's smile faltered. "You don't trust me?" "I don't trust anyone who calls me by my name without asking first," Lena said, stepping back toward the school gate. Within minutes, 2 guards returned, and the man drove off. What they didn't expect. Zion's team began the digital audit quietly. One of the junior analysts flagged something odd. A bank in Turkey showed the exact same offshore transfer pattern, under Faraz's name. A day before Zion was reported missing. Same routing paths. Same invoice formatting. 2 identical. "Someone copy-pasted this from his own setup," the analyst muttered. Zion's lawyer looked up. "That's not just a mistake. That's arrogance." The threat grows closer. That night, a rock smashed through Reina's front window. No note. No sound. Just glass and fear. Lena screamed. Reina pulled her into her arms. Zion arrived 10 minutes later. The security officer trailed close behind. "This won't stop until we push back," he said. "I'm not going anywhere," Reina replied. Zion looked down at Lena. She clutched her doll tightly but didn't cry. She just whispered, "Are they going to take you again?" "No, Beta," Zion said, kneeling beside her. "They're going to try. But this time, I'm not alone." The lie gets the spotlight first. But the truth always shows up with receipts. By the time Reina's interview aired, Zion had already stopped checking the internet. He wasn't avoiding the lies, he'd seen enough of those. But he had stopped caring what strangers typed behind usernames. Until now. The woman no one expected. The clip was short. Just under 8 minutes. The interviewer sat in a plain room, her voice quiet. No drama. No dramatic music. No breaking news graphics. Just Reina. Dressed in a simple kurta. Hair pulled back. Voice steady. "I was 23 when I met Zion. We weren't a fairy tale. It wasn't a scandal. It was a real relationship, and I was pregnant when he vanished." The interviewer let the silence hang. Reina continued calmly. "I waited. I called. I messaged. Nothing. I was told by someone close to him that he didn't want to be found." "Who told you that?" the interviewer asked gently. Reina's eyes didn't flinch. "His mother." Social media doesn't know what to do. Within an hour, the clip had been posted, clipped, and translated into 4 languages. "She's too calm. Must be lying. Actually, this makes sense. Why would he disappear randomly? That kid must be his. They have the same nose. If she's telling the truth, that whole board is going down." People love a villain, but they love switching sides even more. Zion watches, finally. He sat in the back room of the law office, a paper cup of tea in his hand. One of the paralegals slid him a phone. "You'll want to see this." He didn't move at first. Then he took the phone and pressed play. There she was. Not the Reina he remembered in hospital scrubs and late-night laughter. This was someone stronger. Still hurt, but braver now. He watched the whole video in silence. When it ended, he didn't say a word. Just stood, walked to the hallway and called her. "Thank you," he said. "I didn't do it for you," she replied. "I did it for Lena. She deserves to know that lies don't get the last word." Faraz tries to push back. In a conference room across town, Faraz was flipping through news coverage with his PR consultant. "She's poisoning public opinion," he snapped. "You mean she's talking?" the consultant replied. "Same thing." He tossed the tablet on the table. You're losing control of the narrative, the consultant added, more directly now. I'm not interested in the narrative. I'm interested in making sure he doesn't sit back in that CEO chair. Raina gets a visitor. The next day, while Lena was at school, someone knocked on Raina's door. Not aggressively, just once. She opened it to find Vivian Khalid standing there, Zion's mother, dressed in a formal shower camise, silver bangles on her wrist, that same sharp face, untouched by guilt, but slightly worn by time. May I come in? Raina didn't move. Vivian looked around, as if not being welcomed inside was unusual for her. You said enough the last time we spoke, Raina said coldly. You always were good at making yourself the victim, Vivian replied unbothered. I was the one left behind. You were never meant to be involved. You were temporary. That's not what your son thought. Vivian's eyes narrowed. You and your daughter are standing in the way of a legacy that took years to build. Raina stepped outside, closing the door behind her. We're not standing in the way. We're just not moving aside anymore. Vivian studied her. This is going to get uglier. Then wear something you don't mind getting dirty. Vivian's jaw tightened. She turned and walked away without another word. Back in the courtroom. That afternoon, Zion's legal team presented the forensic findings. They traced the leaked embezzlement transfers directly to Faraz's offshore shell company. Using identical timestamps, server signatures, and audit metadata. The final nail? Faraz's assistant, Aman, had logged in from Zion's device during his disappearance. We've got the IP addresses. We've got the access trail, Zion's lawyer said, placing the documents on the bench. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for next week. Public opinion shifted again. Looks like he was telling the truth. The business partner's the crook. This whole family is chaos. Lena draws again. That evening, Lena sat at the table, drawing another picture. This time 3 figures, one tall, one medium, one small, holding hands, standing in front of a house. She handed it to Zion. This is us. He smiled. Why is the house so big? Because you didn't just come back. You brought space for us now. Some people talk louder than truth for a while, but truth never runs out of breath. What justice sounds like. The court wasn't glamorous. There were no flashing lights or packed galleries. No dramatic speeches. Just a judge, 2 tables, and the silence of people waiting to hear whose version of the truth would stand. Zion didn't dress like a CEO. No designer suit. No gold watch. Just a dark corda and a plain wristband Lena had made from yarn and plastic beads. It looked ridiculous on a grown man. He refused to take it off. Opening statements, quiet blows. Faraz's lawyer started first. He spoke in polished legal language, filling the room with terms like financial inconsistency, possible internal misconduct, and unverified family claims. Zion's lawyer stood second. Her words were simpler. There is no embezzlement. There is only theft of time, identity, and dignity. She laid the printed evidence on the table like cards in a game no one else had bothered to learn. Offshore trails, forged entries, unauthorized access from the assistant's personal device. The judge said nothing, just nodded and flipped through the pages. But in that room, silence meant listening. And that was enough. Vivian on the stand. She didn't want to testify. But once Raina's interview aired, and the legal team pulled phone records showing Vivian contacted Raina just days before Zion's disappearance, the court had questions. Vivian entered like she always did, composed, chin high, eyes ahead. But her answers weren't enough. Did you discourage Ms. Oftab from contacting your son? The lawyer asked. I suggested it was not the right time. Did you delete any messages? I don't recall. Did you intercept communication between Zion and Raina during the time she was pregnant? Vivian's eyes flashed. I did what I thought was best. For whom? Vivian said nothing. And this time, the silence didn't help her. Outside the courtroom, reporters waited like hawks. Someone yelled, "Did you fake your kidnapping, Mr. Khalid?" Another, "Is the child really yours?" Zion stopped. He turned, took off his sunglasses, and said just loud enough for every microphone to catch it, Her name is Lena. She's 6. She likes purple, doesn't eat the crust on her sandwiches, and yes, she's mine." Then he walked away. The decision that wasn't easy. Later that night, Zion sat across from Reina in the kitchen. "I can win this," he said. She nodded. "But I don't want to spend the next year fighting lawsuits, clearing my name, and rebuilding a company that let this happen under their watch." "You want to walk away?" "I want to choose peace over ego." Reina didn't respond immediately. "Then, you're not walking away from something. You're walking toward us." He looked up. Her eyes were steady. "I spoke to the board," he said. "I'm giving up my seat. Selling my shares. Keeping just enough to stay legally protected." Reina blinked. "Are you sure?" "I don't want to be their boss anymore. I want to be Lena's Baba. That's the only title I care about." Faraz isn't finished. When Faraz heard the news, he smiled. He thought he had won. Until the second part of the story dropped. The digital audit went public. The assistant's confession was leaked. Text messages. Deleted files. Backups Faraz didn't know still existed. The Financial Crimes Division launched a full investigation. And suddenly, Faraz was no longer defending a rumor. He was defending himself. Lena sleeps in peace. That night, for the first time in weeks, Lena didn't ask questions before bed. She didn't ask if someone would come. Didn't ask if Baba would be okay. She just lay in bed, hugging her toy rabbit, and whispered, "Don't forget to turn the light off when you leave." Zion stood at her door for a full minute before finally walking away. Reina's final letter. In her room, Reina opened her notebook. She had been writing bits of her thoughts for years. Small things Lena might read when she was older. Tonight she wrote something different. He came back. Not in the way I imagined. Not to fix what was broken. But to be here. To be present. That's enough for me. She tore the page gently and slid it into a small envelope, placing it in Lena's memory box. Walking away from a title isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the loudest way to say, "I've already won." The sun didn't rise any differently that morning. It was still quiet, still soft through the curtains, still filtering through the neighborhood with a gold that felt more honest than bright. But something was different in the house. The fear was gone. One last visit. Zion stood at the gate to the office building one final time. No media, no security, just a single backpack and a brown envelope under his arm. He entered, walked to the reception, and handed the file to the desk clerk. "Please give this to the board chair." She nodded. He didn't wait around. The envelope contained his final signature, resignation, asset handover, and a letter stating he would no longer pursue any legal claim against the company as long as they cooperated with the fraud investigation into Faraz. It wasn't a bargain. It was a closure. He walked out and didn't look back. Vivian's silence. Vivian Khalid didn't show up in court after that. A lawyer filed a letter saying she was stepping away from public engagements indefinitely. No apology. No statement. But Zion didn't expect one. She would carry her silence just like she carried her judgment. Carefully, bitterly, and always behind glass. A backyard tea party. Reina sat in the garden with her hands in her lap. The grass was uneven. The chairs were mismatched. But it was home. Lena poured imaginary tea into 3 chipped cups. Zion pretended to sip from his with exaggerated elegance. "Delicious," he said. "Tastes like purple." Lena giggled. "Tea doesn't taste like colors." "Then you're not drinking it right." Reina smiled, leaning back in her chair. No one talked about court cases. No one mentioned press. There were no phones, no alarms. Just air. Just time. Just them. The offer he didn't expect. Later that week, Zion received an email from a VC firm overseas. "We heard what you did. We're building a new project, ethical AI, transparency focused. We'd love you to lead it." He didn't respond right away. He didn't feel the pull of ambition anymore. He showed it to Reina. "You think I should?" She shrugged. "Only if it lets you be home for bedtime." He grinned. "That's a better job description than anything they sent." A birthday that mattered. On Lena's 7th birthday, the house was filled with balloons, not expensive decorations. Her friends brought coloring books. Raina baked the cake herself, slightly crooked, slightly burned. Zion got her a bike. Purple, of course. Training wheels still on. She hugged him so tightly he nearly dropped it. "I love it," she whispered. "You earned it," he said. That night, after the cake was done, and the guests had gone, and the music had faded, the three of them sat under the stars. Lena lay across both their laps, half asleep. Raina looked at Zion. "I thought I'd have to explain everything to her someday. The pain, the lies, the waiting." "You still might," he said. "But now I don't have to explain why you weren't there." He nodded. "I'm here now. That's the only chapter one care about." She reached for his hand and held it. They didn't need to say anything else. Some stories aren't about what was lost. They're about what was finally found, and who stayed to keep it.